So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we'll be back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Thursday, November 12th. Hope you guys have a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Thursday. Thursday is, in fact, the first game of Week 10 of the NFL season. Should be a good game tonight. This is by far, in my opinion, one of the best Thursday night games we'll see this entire year. Titans, Colts, two good teams, two teams battling for a playoff spot, two teams trying to look for their division wins, two teams that are two teams that are obviously both in the same division. It's going to be a good game. This is a huge game, not only for overall the AFC South, but this is a good game overall for the NFL. Titans trying to get in. Titans are trying to get in. The Colts are trying to get in. At the moment, Titans are obviously 6-2. Colts are 5-3. But a lot of exciting stuff coming up today for today's games. I think it's going to be a good game. I think you'll see a lot of good. I think you're going to see a lot of good play out there. So it should be exciting to watch. Obviously, we got a lot of other sports to get to as well. These are the topics for today, by the way. Last night was a little bit of college football. Was some good games on. They're small games, but it's. I've always said this for a long time now, and I'll continue to say it. Yes, they're small games. Yes, they're teams. Not many of us probably are, really enthused to be, Central Michigan's playing tonight. Northern Illinois is playing tonight. But at the end of the day, it's football, and that's what's really just good. And even baseball, and it's MLB, I understand. But even if the Yankees aren't on one night, and one night it's the Tigers and a random other team like the Tigers and, maybe like a team, Tigers are bad, and who else is like a bad team? I mean, the Tigers are bad, and I guess you could say, like, the Orioles aren't very good. But I would still watch it. It's MLB baseball, so it's a little different. But, it still is college football, so it's still fun to watch. There's one game on tonight, although I don't know if I'll be watching that game, obviously, because I won't be watching that game. That game comes on tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right when the Thursday night game comes on. So I will not be watching that game. I'll be watching the Thursday night game. But these are the topics for today's podcast. We got Thursday night football. You know how it is. Every single week I do this. This isn't any new news. Every single week. Keys of the game. Give you keys on offense, keys on defense for the Titans and the Colts. And then we'll get to fantasy football. We'll get to, just giving you the kind of fantasy football stuff. Really just kind of, fantasy football, giving you the overview, giving you who you could start, who you should sit. I have one player going. In one league, I have A.J. Brown of the Titans going in one league and no other players in either league there, although I know there's a lot of people who do have Titans and Colts players. I know there's people who have Jonathan Taylor. I know people who have Tannehill. I know people who have Henry. I know people who have A.J. Brown, including myself. So there is a lot of opportunities tonight for you possibly to start players for both of these teams. Don't give you the college football games. There's one game tonight I'll predict it. It's actually a bigger game. It's two actually big schools. It's Boise State and Colorado State. So Boise State was ranked. Boise State's a bigger school, but it's still an interesting game there. For some reason, want to watch that. I'm personally not going to watch it, but I'll give you my take on the game. Talk about that, and there were some other games yesterday that I watched, and I don't know. I'm assuming some of you maybe watched it as well. With all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So tonight we got a very good game. I've said this. I already said this today on the podcast. I might say it again along the podcast. I just might. Tonight, I think we have one of the best Thursday night matchups we've had all year. And I don't think that's a stretch. I don't think that's a bad argument to make. It's the truth. You're talking about one of the biggest games for the AFC South. The AFC South right now has come down to the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. Texans, okay, no. Jaguars, no. Okay? This division has come down to the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. And tonight's game is absolutely huge. That is what's so big about tonight's game. It's absolutely huge. You have the Titans, a good offense, pretty good defense, versus the Colts, a meh offense, but a very good defense. You can make the argument this team's a top team in the league. And let me kind of just get to this first, because I think, it's crazy. We already are on week 10 of the NFL season. We've seen 10 weeks already. We've got 7 more weeks to go. We got this week, week 11, week 12, week 13, week 14, week 15, week 16, and then finish it off with week 17. So we only have 7 weeks left, and week 10 will start off tonight with a very good matchup. And I've always said this for a long time now, before we get into the actual games. I don't know if you noticed that as well, but I mean, I don't know if it's a crazy thing to say, but I don't know if a lot of people have noticed this. I've always feel like over the years, not just this year, because there has been some matchups this year. You had the Jets and the Broncos one night. That's not a very good matchup. I mean, for me, it was because I enjoy watching the Jets, but for other NFL fans, that must have been like, the Jets and the Broncos don't throw many. But I've always thought this as a Thursday night, and I just as a football fan in general, that I've always felt like the Thursday night games don't always have the best teams appear in it. You know, that's a lot of times those Sunday night and those Monday night games. And I don't know why it is. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But I've always found that the Monday night games and the Sunday night games are the games that have the prime time, the big name teams. I mean, you saw last week, Buccaneers Saints. That was not a good game, but you got 2 big name quarterbacks. You got 2 big name players on it. You got many big name players. I mean, you got Brady, Breeze. You didn't see it on Thursday night. Some of the Thursday night matchups we saw this year was Fitzmagic and Minshew. Like, that's not a great matchup. Jaguars-Dolphins is not your prime matchup. Jets-Broncos is not your prime matchup. A busted 49ers team versus the Packers is not your ideal matchup. So, you know, it's obviously kind of, I like Thursday night football, but I've always said this. Like the Thursday night games are not that very, they're good to watch. I watch football, right? I'll watch it. I said this just a couple minutes ago. They're small college games I was watching the past couple of days. They're small college games, but it's football. Same thing with Thursday night football. Sometimes they don't have the best matchups. You'll see the 2-0-4 teams like the Jets and the Broncos early on in the season battle it off against each other. That might not be the best game to many fans, but, you know, it's still good football to watch. So tonight we actually have, in my opinion, without a doubt, one of the best matchups all year on Thursday Night Football. I know in the beginning of the year, you obviously had the first game, and that was the Chiefs-Texans. So that was a good matchup. It was the first game of the year, so you might go ahead and say that was the best matchup. But if you're sitting here week 10, hindsight 2020, it was a realistic 1-6 team versus a team that's a Super Bowl contender. So hindsight 2020, it wasn't the best matchup. I thought that Bills-Chiefs game was a pretty good matchup. But tonight, by far, I think out of all the Thursday night games we've seen in the season, by far, and remind me if there's a couple more I'm missing, because there might be a few I'm missing. The Browns-Bengals game was a good game. I'm talking about how much it matters. Like that Browns-Bengals game, Browns might squeak into the playoffs, Bengals won't. You know, some of these games consist of non-playoff teams. Niners are probably not a non-playoff team. Neither the Broncos or the Jets. Texans, Bengals, Browns possibility. They're not a guarantee. Thursday Night Football guarantee. And these 2 teams tonight, though, it's a big game. And it's especially a big game for the Indianapolis Colts. Because if they lose tonight, they get moved to 5-4. They're going to have to dig themselves out of a hole. And then you'll have the Tennessee Titans, who are 7-2. So if the Colts lose tonight, if you're a Colts fan, you should get a little concerned. If the Titans lose tonight and the Colts win, Colts fans, you're in a good position. But if the Colts lose tonight, they're 5-4. Titans take complete 2 wins in the win column and 2 wins in the loss column. Overall, 2 games ahead. You know, it's going to be tough to get that division back. So I do think this is a very big game for the Colts. It is a big game for the Titans. But if you had to really hone in on one team, this is a huge game for the Colts. You lose tonight, your chances at the division are very slim. You win tonight, 6-3, division's a complete toss-up. So I think it's going to be a very good game. You got 2 good quarterbacks, 2 good overall teams. You got one team, their strengths, the offense. The other team's their strengths, the defense. One team, their weakness is their defense. And the one team, their strength is the offense. So it's a completely even match team. Colts' strength is their defense. Colts' strength is defense. Titans' strength is their offense. So that should be a good matchup. Colts' weakness is their offense. And the Titans' weakness is their defense. So you're seeing the weakness battle off of against each other, and you're seeing the strengths battle off against each other. So that should make for an interesting. And I had to think about the keys of the game because it's interesting. Because neither team is overpowering in any way. Not that, keys of the game have been many overpowering teams, but neither team is overpowering on both sides of the football. I mean, the Colts are good on the defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball, there's a lot of things that can be fixed. Same with the Titans. Titans amazing on the offense side of the ball, defense side of the ball. I mean, you look at fantasy, they're allowing the second most fantasy points to receivers. So there's all secondary side of the ball, especially their secondary. really hone in on a secondary. Colts are going to have to rely on the pass game. That's going to be one of my keys of the game. You're going to have to rely on the pass game if you're the Indianapolis Colts. So let's actually, with all that talk, let's get into it. So tonight we got the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. I just want to say something. I've heard a couple of things. I've heard the Titans are 1-point favorites. I've heard the line was even, which means there really is no favorite. And now just recently it looks like the Colts they have as 1-point favorites. So just know what I'm going to tell you might not be the same exact spread for when the game starts because it's been bouncing around all day. When I got up this morning, it was even, then it went to 1, and the Titans then back to even, and now it's 1 in the Colts' favor. So I don't know if it's going to go back again, if it's just going to keep on going back and forth, and then whenever the game comes, whoever's the favorite, it's the favorite. I don't know, but if I do make this pick, that doesn't mean that when I upload this video that the same spread's going to be the same because it's already switched 3-4 times today, and that just goes to show you how close of a game this is going to be. These are two teams evenly skilled matching up, so that's why the spread is the way it is. It's switched. It went even twice, then 1 in the Titans' favor, and then 1 in the Colts' favor, and at the moment it's in the Colts' favor. So this is the spread. Colts are 1-point favorites at this moment. That could very well change. We're still a good, 6 hours from game time, so I wouldn't be surprised if it changes 3 more times. Then we have the Titans. The over-under is 48.5. And this game comes on at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. So obviously this should be a very good matchup tonight. Some of the injuries kind of just get into actually. We'll get into the injuries in just a little bit. There's actually a couple big injuries for both teams, and I was kind of wanted to hit this now. Both teams are experiencing some big losses, both on the Colts side of the ball and the defensive, and the Colts both on the Colts and the Titans. So both teams are experiencing some loss. Some good players. So just keep an eye out for that when you do make your game pick. And I've already made my game pick. Obviously, if you don't know, I make my game picks before the show even starts, so then I don't have to decide on air. But anyway, tonight, Titans are home for this game. Not that it really matters. I think they're allowing 16,000 fans there, but home field advantage doesn't matter. If there was no virus, the home field advantage would actually matter in this game because I'm sure whatever stadium was at, whether it was Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Colts, or Tennessee Titans Stadium, Nissan Stadium, whatever it was, I'm sure it would have been packed because of how big this game is for the AFC South and just overall for the NFL playoff picture. This game could shake up a lot, so we'll get right into it. So we'll go to the keys of the game. We'll start off with the Titans, then we'll go to the Colts, just go in any random order. So we'll go Colts offensive keys, Colts defensive, then Titans offensive, Titans defensive, Colts offensive, Colts defensive keys of the game. So that's how I'll do it. I do it every Thursday. You already know. I don't have to say it anymore. So let's get into it. So let's get into the Titans keys to the game. We'll start off with the offensive side of the ball. Then we'll go to the defensive side of the ball. So Colts keys to the game on offense. So I want to make this clear first, and I said this so many times today on the podcast already. The Colts' strength, by the way, I'm doing Titans. Sorry, Titans. Titans offensive keys of the game. So the Titans' offensive keys of the game are big. There's going to be a lot of keys they're going to have to hit. They're going to have to do a lot of things right. Because I said this already today on my podcast. I've said it 4 or 5 times already. You're probably getting annoyed from me saying it, but I've said it so many times. This Colts defense is a top 5 in the league. And this Titans offense is also very good, but the Colts defense might outweigh it just a little bit. Because this Colts defense up front, the linebackers, defensive linemen, and corners, all around, this is a well-rounded defense. And I think we can all agree on that. If you've seen them play before, we can all agree they're a very, very, very well-rounded defense. Now, this might sound like an obvious key to the game, but I wouldn't say it's so much obvious. It's the truth, though. If the Titans want to win this game, if they want to execute well on offense, because this Colts defense overall is a very good defense. They don't have a strength. Their strength is their defense. They don't have a strength in any area. Particularly if you had to pick out a strength, if you really had to, their defensive line's very good and their linebacking core is very good. They've got a lot of good linebackers. You're talking about Darius Leonard. You got a couple guys in that linebacking core that could cause havoc. So if you had to pick out a strength, it would be the linebacking core into the secondary. But overall, they're good. There's not that one side, whether that's a corner. It's not that one area of the field where they're so good at. overall as a defense, they're good in everywhere. They're good on the D-line, good at the linebacker, good at the corner, good at the safety. They're good all around on this team, and that's what makes this defense so potent to other teams, because they show a lot of different formations at you, and whatever they do, they're more than likely going to execute it. So the offense has to even execute even better, and that's where I want to get to my point here. If I was the Tennessee Titans tonight, you have to overall mix up the ball, right? Don't run it a ton. Don't pass it a ton, right? Overall, play good. And I know that might sound a bad key to the game, but let me break it down for you. There's not one area on this Colts team, this Colts defense, that's weak on this Colts defense. Overall, they're a good defense. So it's not like you can pound the ball. And I understand. I want to see the Colts running it tonight. I do. If the Colts want to win this game, they're going to have to run the ball. You can't rely on Tannehill throwing the ball 45 times, especially against that secondary. But what I wanted to say here is that the Tennessee Titans tonight are going to have to overall spread the ball around, spread the wealth. You know, A.J. Brown, he might not be able to get. I hope he does, because I have him in fantasy. But if you're looking at, a real game standpoint, you might not be able to throw the ball to A.J. Brown 10 times. Because they're going to lock him down. You're going to have to, as your Tannehill, you're going to have to spread the ball around. That's one of the keys of the game, I think, is today. You have to spread the ball around. You can't just give it to Derrick Henry. You can't just have Tannehill throw all the time. Spread it around. Run it with Henry a little bit. Throw it Tannehill. Throw it to a few different receivers. It's not one of those games where you have this one-on-one matchup that's really dominating. It might be, but this Colts defense is very good. You're going to have to execute on all cylinders, and you're going to have to spread the wealth. You're going to have to spread the ball around. You can't be running the ball 20 times tonight and passing it 15. You're going to have to spread it around. Run it 15, pass it 20, 25, run it 20, pass it around there as well, right? You might pass it a little bit more just because it's just how football is overall. But you got to spread the ball around. And if I was the Titans tonight, you can't hone in on one guy getting the ball, because how good this Colts defense is. They might lock that guy down. You can't really come into this game as with a set, we're going to do this, and this. Because that Colts defense shows a lot of different formations. They show a lot of different zones. They trick offenses. That's what forces these offenses into turnovers. They see something pre-snap. Oh, no, we snapped it. Oh, that's not the play we thought they were running. And all of a sudden, force them into mistake, interception, fumble, sack, whatever, etc. Whatever, something bad happens that play. That's what this Colts defense does. And that's what this Colts defensive coordinator does so well. He confuses the offense. So if you're the Titans, and the Titans know this well because their offense is very good. They're 6-2, so they're obviously doing something right. This Colts offense has to spread the ball around. Throw it, run it, maybe run some trickery as well. I know I say this a lot, but maybe. If you want to beat this Colts team, if you want to really dominate this Colts offense, you can't rely on Tannehill to throw the ball 40 times, 50 times. You're going to have to spread it around, right? Get this defense on their heels, too. That's another thing. Take some shots. Take some shots downfield, too. Take some shots downfield. Or be conservative, one or the other. Because you don't want to take too many shots downfield. It's more just to play a balanced game if you're the Titans. There's no real weakness on this defense. So it's not like you can pound the ball. As for the Colts, there is a weakness on the Titans defense that I'll talk about in just a little bit, as their key to the key on offense. So there's no real weakness on this defense. So you have to balance it out. You can't expect to throw the ball a ton. Can't run the ball a ton. You have to balance it out. If you run the ball or throw the ball too much, that's going to cost you in the errors, because there's not many weaknesses on this team that if it's not like their pass defense is their weakness and you could go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to throw it a ton. It's not like their run defense is their weakness and you're like, you know what, we're going to run a ton. I understand it's Derrick Henry back there and he makes a lot of teams look bad, but this Colts defense is arguably the best in the NFL. And the best we've seen in maybe a little while. Because this Colts defense can bring a lot of good coverage at you. They can blitz a lot. They have a lot of fast corners, a lot of fast safeties, a lot of guys in this team that can really make a difference. So overall for the Titans, the key to the game would be balance on offense. Don't overly pass it. Don't overly run it. Balance. Take shots downfield. Take your chances. Balance doesn't mean play conservative. Doesn't mean throw these little 5-yard plays. Play your offense. Just balance it out. Because there's not really a weakness, and if there's a weakness that is exposed, if you're hitting the ball right, these are keys to going into the game. Coming out of the game, you could very well say, oh, they dominated in the passing game. That was the big thing, right? So they might be able to dominate in the passing game. Maybe this secondary is having an off day and you catch them off guard. But for the time being, before the game, if you had to pick a key out, you got to play balance on offense because there's very little weaknesses on its team, and the only way you win is balance, balance, balance. Spread the wealth, run it, throw it to different guys, although I would much rather you throw it 20 times to A.J. Brown as, target your good receiver as well. Target your best receiver, right? They might be doubling him. And this is a Colts D that has a very good job of shutting guys down. So you gotta watch that out. So definitely watch out for that. That's a key. Balance. That's what I'm going to call it. Balance for the Tennessee Titans on offense. That is the key to the game for the Tennessee Titans on offense. Now let's move on to the key to the game for the Tennessee Titans on defense. Okay. And this is going to be the opposite of the Colts offense key to the game. Okay. What you have to do if you're the Tennessee Titans defense, you have to. And I know it's going to be tough because I already said it. I've said it so many times today. I've seen it happen. I've read the stats. I've seen the stats. I've looked at it. I've looked at the Titans defense. You have to somehow because this secondary is the weakness of this team. This secondary is not very good. They're not very good. They're really not. They have a very weak secondary. Their run defense is pretty good. And I wouldn't say you really have to worry about the Colts running the ball that much. You got Nyheim Hines, you've got Jonathan Taylor, guys like that, but I still wouldn't overly worry. What I would worry about, and he's not that good, he's not that amazing this season. This receiving core isn't amazing. But what I really would look out for is you have to watch out. You have to if you're the Titans defense. And this is difficult because your secondary is not very good. You have to stop the pass game. You have to somehow, some way stop it. You have not been able to do that very well this season. You're second in the league in allowing most fantasy points to receivers. That does translate onto the field because this team does have some good receivers. Are they amazing? Are they DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Adam Thielen, guys like that? No. But if Mo Alley Cox plays, if T.Y. Hilton's fast, he's had a down year, but he can still make plays. You got the young player in Michael Pittman, who is a deep ball threat. One-on-one with some of these smaller corners can definitely make you pay. What I want to see out of this Titans defense if they want to win this game, and especially on defense, you have to stop this pass game. You'll stop the run game. If I was the Titans, I wouldn't be so concerned about the run game. Jonathan Taylor's had a tough time handling the ball. He's had a lot of fumbles. He's had a lot of mistakes. Nyheim Hines is big in the receiving game. He's okay in the running game. They don't have any potent running back. They did lose Marlon Mack early in the year, which is a big hit for their running game to a torn Achilles. So they don't have any of this real running back that's going to be a game changer, as the Titans do in Derrick Henry. His Colts don't have a game changer. Jonathan Taylor has a tough time with his ball control. Nyheim Hines, big in the pass game, okay in the run game. So you'll be fine stopping the run game. If you can't stop the run game, then the Titans automatically lose because... And more than likely, the pass game's going, and more than likely, if they can't stop the run game, it's just not going to be a good game. So you'll stop the run game. But my real concern is if I was I'm not a Titans fan, but if I was the Titans coaches, you got to stop this pass game. It's not insane. Phillip Rivers isn't insane. He's older now. He doesn't have the arm strength like he used to. But this Titans defense, this Titans secondary can be that bad at times. You have to limit the pass game. You have to. Have to stop it. Whether that means doubling a receiver. You also got Mo Alley Cox, whose knee, he's questionable. Right? He's questionable as well. So he's knee, so he might be a little off. Their two tight ends are injured. Jack Doyle, injured. He got a concussion. He's out. And Mo Alley Cox is questionable. Tight end, he's questionable. So you might catch them off guard as well. But you really have to watch out. You got to watch out. Because if Mo Alley Cox is in, he can be potent. He can be very good. Especially this season. So if you're the Tennessee Titans, you have to find a way to stop this Colts team in the passing game. Running game, you'll do it fine. If I was the Titans, I wouldn't be really worried about this running game. But passing game, you got to be worried about because that's how bad your secondary can be at times. Whether that means running in blitzes and getting on the heels, or that means playing a lot of backed off four quarters or cover, two safeties over the top, whatever that means. Stop them in the pass game. Keys of the game for the Titans defense to stop them in pass game. For overall keys of the game, for the Titans, balanced offense. I want to see both running and passing. If you're the Titans, that's what you got to do. Because this defense can really confuse you. So run a balanced offense. Don't overly pass. Don't overly run. Balanced. And for the keys of the game, that's the key for the game on offense. And for the keys of the game on the defense is stop the pass. Stop Rivers throwing. Stop the pass game. All you got to do. Don't worry about the run game. You'll stop that. Got to stop the pass game. That's your keys of the game for the Tennessee Titans on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts, who are currently, although this has already changed 4 times today, currently are the favorite in this game. But this could very well change. Like I said, we got about 6 hours until game time. So exactly, actually, 6 hours and 20 minutes until game time. So if you really want to get in-depth, 6 hours and 16 minutes until game time. So I would not be surprised if this line changes another 3 times. But at the moment, the Indianapolis Colts are the favorites, and that doesn't surprise me. It kind of does in a way, but it doesn't in a way. It does, but it doesn't. You know, it's kind of one of those things where you can see both sides. If I could see why they're favored, I could also see why they shouldn't be. But they are currently the favorites. So here we go. Here are my keys for the Indianapolis Colts on offense. Keys for the Indianapolis Colts on defense. Let's get into it. So the Indianapolis Colts keys on offense. The opposite of the keys for the Titans on defense. Pass the ball. I can literally say that and run onto the keys on defense. Pass the ball. I literally could just say that in the podcast because that's how simple it is for it's easier said than done. But that's what you got to do tonight, right? I said this with the Titans defense. This is one of those things that you can compare. Titans defense, I said this. Right, Titans defense, I kind of said this with the Titans defense, right? You got to stop the pass. You'll be fine with the run. You'll stop the run. I think the Colts can even say that too. They're not going to win the game with Jonathan Taylor running for 230 yards. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. We haven't seen it yet, and I don't think we will see it. You are going to win the game. If you want to win this game, you're going to have to win it in the pass game. This is a secondary that is completely broken. I mean, this secondary is not very good. You can make the argument they're the second to third or even first worst secondary in all the league. And like I said, if Mo Alley Cox plays, Jack Doyle's already out. Mo Alley Cox plays, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, like I said, I think they got to give Michael Pittman more throws. I mean, this is a young player that's very good. He's got a bright future ahead of him. He's a tall, strong, one-on-one with the smaller corners, deep downfield. That is a touchdown in the making. So what you have to do is pass the ball. I say this line a lot, and you know what I mean by now. Pick on this defense. I don't mean physically say mean words to them. Pick on them. Throw the ball. Pick on this secondary. Throw it deep. Right? Maybe run some screens. Run a mesh route across the middle. Pick on this secondary. Throw it deep. Take chances downfield. Right? Take chances. You know, look what the Jets did. They took chances downfield, and look, they almost got their first win of the game. I've said so long now. Ever since I started watching sports, I've said this for my whole life now, of me being around sports. I've said this for a long time now. Take chances deep, whether that's in football. Take chances in any sport. Take chances overall, not just in sports. But especially if you really want to hone into football, take chances deep. You look at the numbers. Look at what happens to teams. Look at these deep ball throwing teams. Look how successful they are. The Chiefs, deep ball throwing team. You could explain the rest. They're very successful. Look at their quarterback, for example, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you can't get much better than him. Right? A lot of these deep ball throwing teams are very good. Look at the Bills. They throw the ball deep a lot. They're 7-2 right now, riding high in the AFC East. Just beat the Seattle Seahawks. Look at the Seahawks. They're a good team. They throw the ball deep a lot. Look at them. They're 6-3. A lot of people think they might make the Super Bowl. Look at the Steelers. They throw the ball deep a lot. Look at them. They're 9-0, 8-0. They throw the ball deep a lot, and a lot of people think them too will make the Super Bowl. So take chances deep. Overall, just throw it a lot. Right? I'm okay. I said this is the opposite with the Titans. That's what's funny with the keys of the game. Usually it's always the opposite. With the Titans, it's a balance. If I want to see if the Colts want to win this game, you got to see a lot more throws than runs, because that's the weakness of their team, is their secondary, and everyone knows it. Everyone sees it. And this offense, this offseason, that's going to be something the Titans are going to have to really look into, because they're missing Logan Ryan. They're missing that guy that can play both zone and man and can match up with that big receiver, and they don't have that right now. So gotta pass the ball a lot. Pick on the secondary Indianapolis Colts. That is the key to the game on offense. And as for defense for the Indianapolis Colts, this was kind of a tough one for me because usually it's countering whatever the defense wants to do or offense wants to do. You know, with the Titans defense, they got to stop the pass. Well, Colts, they have to throw the ball more. It's usually countering. But I did an interesting key to the game for the Titans. I usually don't do that. Since the Colts defense really don't have many weaknesses, it's tough to do that. They have a run and balance offense. But what I want to say today for the Indianapolis Colts is you're going to have to stop Henry. That's one of the keys. I think... and I understand I said to be balanced. I understand that. But I truly do think Derrick Henry is one of the best running backs in the NFL. So that in itself could be a key. And I didn't want to say for the Titans to run the ball a ton because I don't know if that's going to get the job done. Because that they just don't do that often. I mean, they run the ball a lot. But, you know, I want to see more balance. Because if they run the ball a lot, Colts will start to pick up on this. So I think really today is to stop two things. Is to stop Derrick Henry and find a way to eliminate one of the receivers on the Titans, right? I've always said this. I've said this so many times for the keys of the game on Thursday night. Every defense has to find a way, and I didn't say this with the Titans, but every defense has to find a way to eliminate at least one receiver. That makes it so much easier. Whether that's the best receiver, which is difficult, or whether that's the third receiver, or whether it's a slot receiver, whoever it is, find a way to eliminate a receiver. The more receivers you can eliminate, and if you look at games where teams struggle, almost, for example, with the Cowboys right now, and I know I'm going a little off topic. If you can find a way to eliminate their best receiver or one of their best receivers, the team starts to struggle. I'm going to ask you this question. Has Amari Cooper had a very good year this year? No, because teams have been able to get in, run right zones to where he's not open. Who's struggling? The Dallas Cowboys. If you can eliminate that, not a number one receiver, doesn't have to be the number one. It could be the number 3 for all we know. It could be a backup. Find a way to eliminate a receiver. You start eliminating. Their choice is to throw the ball deep and throw the ball receivers narrow. They get narrow, and all of a sudden that turns into a loss. So find a way to eliminate a receiver. Not A.J. Brown, please, because that would not be good in fantasy. And it's a must-win week for me in fantasy, so please not A.J. Brown. You know what? I'll pay, I'll give the Colts some money to, not throw the ball or not leave A.J. Brown open. It's Colts, it's okay, believe me. If you let up 5 touchdowns, A.J. Brown, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm okay with it. You can eliminate every single receiver on that field except A.J. Brown for fantasy purposes, because this is a big week for me in fantasy. So, you can eliminate anyone. Eliminate their whole offense. Just leave A.J. Brown all by himself. I would appreciate that. So to get back to serious talk now, it is true. You gotta find a way to eliminate a receiver and stop Henry. Because they're gonna try to run that balanced offense. If you eliminate one of them, all of a sudden they can't run a balanced offense. If you eliminate one of the receivers, then all of a sudden the pass game's bad now. Eliminate Henry, all of a sudden the run game's bad. So eliminate that balanced offense they might try to run. That is my key to the game for the Indianapolis Colts. So let's look back at the keys of the game for the Colts. It's pass the ball. Really, that's easy. And for defense, it's eliminate something. Whether that's the running back, whether that's a receiver, eliminate something. Because the key to the game for the Titans is to be balanced. If you can eliminate one of them, all of a sudden that balance that they're trying to run can't happen. Because all of a sudden, if you eliminate Henry, all of a sudden, look what happens. You can't run the ball that much. If you eliminate one of the receivers, all of a sudden, look what happens. Tannehill's options are much slim. Passing might not be the best option. So eliminate one. If you can eliminate both of them, I would imagine you're on your way to victory. But I don't know if that's going to happen because Henry's something else. So that are my keys to the game. So let's just look back really quickly. Titans' key to the game is balanced on offense. Titans' key to the game on defense, stop the pass. It's going to be difficult, but they got to find a way to do that. Colts, pass the ball. And Colts defense is eliminate someone. Whoever that is. If you eliminate Tannehill, then congrats, you win. If you can somehow get Tannehill completely off his game, which is hard to do because Tannehill's a good quarterback, somehow do it, but I don't know. So anyway, so that's what I got for the keys of the game. So now let's move on to the injuries and the kind of just stats, and then I'll give you my game pick. So tonight, the injuries for the Indianapolis Colts. Mo Alley-Cox, their tight end, knee is questionable. And Jack Doyle, tight end, concussion is out. So those are 2 big names for this Colts team. Those are not 2 no names. These are 2 big names for them. So they're out. And as for Tennessee, Humphreys, wide receiver, concussion is out. Crushank, groin, safety is out. And Pruitt, tight end, knee is out. So if anything bad happens to Jonnu Smith, they're going to be down to their third string tight end, pretty much, I think. So Jonnu Smith really needs to be relied on tonight. Here we go. So the league rankings. So with the Colts, the Titans have points per game. They're 7th in the NFL. Colts are 15th. Points per game allowed. Colts are 3rd in the NFL. Titans are 16th. Total yards per game. Colts are 19th. Titans are 10th. Pass yards per game. Colts are 14th. Titans are 20th. Rush yards per game. Yes. Rush yards per game. Colts are 22nd. Titans are 6th. Like I said, don't be concerned about that rush game. 22nd rushing in the NFL. So don't be concerned of it. Yards per game allowed. Colts are 1st in the NFL. And the Titans are 25th. And yeah. So that's kind of it. So yards per game allowed. The Colts allow the least in the NFL. They're only allowing 290. Which just goes to show you how good this defense is. So that's how potent this defense is. So this is my game pick for week 10 of the NFL season. Let me just calculate it really quickly so I can find out the over-under. 28 plus 52. Okay. So this is my pick. So I have the Titans winning tonight. I think overall they're the better team. I think if they run that balanced offense, I think if they stop the pass game somehow, even if you limit it, it doesn't mean completely stop it to where they can't do anything. Limit it. Don't allow this many yards. Don't allow 300 yards of passing. That's what I'm talking about. If you limit it to 230, 200, somewhere around there, you'll be in a good position. I think the Titans win. I think overall they're just a better team. And personally, I think they're home. It's a big game. I think I've seen them play a ton. If you can get the ball to Henry, you'll really win this game. So overall, I think you got to pick the Titans, I think. So I have the Titans winning 28-24. I take the over on the over-under of 48.5. And at the moment, I have them pulling off the upset. Oh, that could very well change. So at the moment, I have them winning 28-24. And I take the over on the over-under of 48.5. So one more time, just so that you know. 28-24, Titans win, over-under. The over-under of 48.5. I take the over. And I have it at 52, I think. So take the over on the over-under of 48.5. I take the over and have Titans winning. That is my pick for Thursday night football. So it should be a good game. Like I said, I think it's by far one of the better games we've seen all year. And I don't think that's a crazy statement to make. Not better all year overall. I mean, Thursday night football-wise, I don't think that's a crazy statement to make. I think that's reasonable. And I think these are two teams battling it out for the division, battling it out for the playoffs. And ultimately, the Colts tonight need a win. I think the Colts need to win more than the Titans. If the Titans lose, they're not in a horrible position. If the Colts lose, their playoff hopes get slim then. So this is a big game for the Colts. I do think the Titans will win, though. Now we move on to fantasy football. This week we got some fantasy football news for you guys. We actually got a good amount of news for you guys. So we actually got a good amount of news for you all. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a move. Hold on one second. So let's see. Boom. Let's see. Hold on one second. Alrighty. Okay, so, yeah, so, anyway, back to what we wanted just to do. I'm going to actually make a move here on, hold on one second. Okay. Okay, so anyway, so coming up next, we got fantasy football. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We got some news to report from fantasy football. I actually might make a move live on video. I don't know if I will though. I was gonna make this move earlier, but I didn't. I don't know who I'm dropping and who I'm gonna be picking up. I think I'm gonna be picking up Duke Johnson because David Johnson's out. And I've got to make a move using something else. So anyway, so at the moment, this is what we got going for my team this week. My one league, I got Aaron Rodgers, Chris Carson, David Johnson, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Rob Gronkowski, Robert Woods, Eagles defense, and Daniel Carlson. And my bench is Ezekiel, he's on a bye week, Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Moore, Harrison Butker, Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, all on bye weeks. Rams defense and George Kittle's obviously on my IR. So I'm still deciding on what I'm completely going to do with Rob Gronkowski and with David Johnson. But at the moment, we have some news on Chris Carson. He is currently questionable. This came out yesterday at Wednesday. Carson Foot didn't take part in practice Wednesday. Michael Sean Duggar of The Athletic reports. So that news came in just yesterday. And then also David Johnson we got some news on David Johnson. Texans head coach Romeo Crennel said Johnson concussion won't be available to practice Wednesday. Aaron Wilson of the Houston Chronicle reports. That also came out yesterday. So it looks like he's not going to be playing David Johnson. And it just so happens that this week I have Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley on a bye week, and David Johnson is currently questionable, although he is projected 0 points, which is usually a sign of him not going to probably play, just because he's projected 0 points, which usually is kind of a warning sign of, yeah, he's not playing. It's also especially Thursday, and he still hasn't practiced, so it's kind of one of those things where you're sitting here thinking it's a concussion Thursday. You don't know if he's going to have enough time to clear the protocol. It takes about 5 days, I think, to clear the protocol, so it wouldn't be able to even get him to Sunday. So I don't think he's going to play, but I'm going to keep an eye on him. I'm going to probably make a move soon. Keep your eye out, too, on Chris Carson. If you're in a situation like I am, you're going to be living off of waiver wires for a couple of days because I'm in a bad position. I'm in a very bad position right now with waiver wire. I might have to make a interesting move. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Chris Carson's out and David Johnson's also out. This is going to have to do. Duke Johnson's going to come in for David Johnson. I would probably drop Harrison Butker. He's on a bye week. He's a very good kicker. I might just have to drop him, though, just because it's a kicker, pick up a running back, will drop him. If Chris Carson's out, that leaves me with an interesting decision. I might have to drop Rams defense, but Rams defense has a bye week coming. Rams defense does not have a bye week. Rams defense next week plays Tampa Bay, or no. I don't know. Week 10 they play Seattle, then Tampa Bay, then San Francisco. So there might be a good opportunity for them to not have great games, which if I drop him wouldn't be a bad idea. And as for Rob Gronkowski, I don't know if he's going to be my starting tight end. Like I said, it is completely up in the air right now. I have absolutely no clue if he's going to be starting this week. I don't know. He might be starting for me. He might not be. It kind of at the moment, it's just kind of one of those things where I don't know. Wait, so okay, so yeah. So it's going to be an interesting move there for me. I'm going to have to make a move there. But back to what I was saying about the whole Chris Carson David Johnson situation. I might have to pick up Duke and Chris Carson. It's going to be, I'm just hoping he doesn't play. I'm just hoping he does play. I'm sorry, because if he doesn't play, then I'm in a bad position. He doesn't play, I'm going to have to either drop Rams defense or someone like Moore or Gurley. And I don't want to drop either of them, but I might have to make a move. So that's definitely going to be a hard decision to make, but I guess it is what it is, right? This is fantasy football. It stinks too because I was literally, I shouldn't have said this, and when I said it, I had a feeling something was going to happen, but this happened about 2 weeks ago when George Kittle went on IR. I just said to everyone, I was like, you know what? luckily, this is my first IR. I haven't had many guys miss games. I've only had 1 or 2 questionables all year. Boom, just like that every week now. Last week, I had a couple questionables. This week, I got a player out, left with a concussion. Now I got to go pick up weight. It's like all of a sudden, all these injuries are hitting me. And it's literally 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the playoffs. Like, this is the worst time. I'm trying to get into the playoffs, and I'm in currently, but I'm trying to hold my spot into the playoffs, and all these injuries are happening to key players. It's not like these are happening to my bench players. Happen to key players. I mean, Chris Carson, he's my starting running back, and now all of a sudden he's injured, and also David Johnson could be my other starter, and now all of a sudden he's got a concussion, so it really does stink. And Juju Smith-Schuster also is questionable. Juju Smith-Schuster knee did not practice Wednesday. Missy Matthews of the Steelers official site reports. So that's kind of just news there. Just keep your eye out for Chris Carson, David Johnson. Hopefully at least one of them, please. Anyway, now we move on to my other league. This is my other league, what I'm rocking with. Deshaun Watson, Kenyon Drake, James Robinson, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Hunter Henry, A.J. Brown, Eagles defense, and Daniel Carlson. My bench is Tyreek Hill, Antonio Gibson, Rams defense, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Burrow, Chase Edmonds. Hill and Helaire are on bye weeks there as well. Might be making a move in my other league, too. I don't know what I'm going to... I don't know. I still got to make a move depending on what happens with Godwin. So these are the 2 questionables in my other league. Kenyon Drake. So Drake ankle was limited at Wednesday's practice. Darren Urban of the Cardinals official site reports. And then Chris Godwin also. Godwin finger was limited participant in Wednesday's practice. Adam Kaplan of Sirius XM NFL radio reports. So he's another one too. Got to watch out for there. I don't know what's going to happen with Godwin. I'm not hopeful, but hopefully he does play. And if he does, I don't know if I completely believe in him being the guy there. I'm just trying to think. I mean, Curtis Samuel had a big week last week. He's had back-to-back big weeks, 10 points, 17. But he's also one of those guys where he's unpredictable a little bit too because you don't really know what he's going to bring to the table. He'll have a big week and then not have a good week. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with my fantasy. And if Kenyon Drake's out, then I got to go. I might have to put in Antonio Gibson then if Kenyon Drake's out. So, yeah. So, it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, that's one of those things. So, A.J. Brown is playing. I would recommend playing him. I have him at my flex right now. I would recommend playing him. You know, he had 16 points last week. He's had, ever since he came back from injury, he's been very good. 14, 17, 21, 8, 16. So he's been very good. So I would definitely put him in, averaging 13.2 points per game. He's had a good season. I think he continues it tonight with probably another good game as well. So that is for that league. Like I said, keep your eyes out with Duke Johnson and them. I might be making a move soon. Kind of still up in the air, though. Just, watch out, like I always say, you never know, players could all of a sudden get healthy. I did it with Allen Robinson. I benched him, and he ended up playing and having like 14 points that week, so just watch out. That's all I got. Watch out. Now I move on to the college game. There's one college game on today. There was a couple on yesterday, but only one on today. We got a good, yesterday we had Western Michigan, Toledo, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, Ball State, Eastern Michigan, Buffalo, Miami, Ohio, Kent State, Bowling Green. Those were the other games. Yesterday, every game was pretty good except Central Michigan, Northern Illinois game. Now I move on to today's game. It's called Boise State, Colorado State, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at FS1. I give Boise State the win there. Tomorrow, there's actually some good games. Holy moly, there's actually some very good games. And obviously, you got the whole in there. And AP Top 25. It's weird. Miami's not favorite this week. It's very odd. They're the 9th team in the nation. 12 p.m. ESPN, by the way, that game is on. So, that should be a good game on Saturday. Miami is ranked 9th in the nation. This is why I don't get the rankings. Because a team will be ranked in front of a team. Like Virginia Tech's 4-2, they're not even ranked. And they have them favorites against Miami. I understand Miami has not played their best football. They did not play their best football against North Carolina State. Deary King had a very good game. But overall, as a team, they don't have their best football. They don't play their best football. Miami can be iffy. I've always said that. If they don't play their best, this team's good. But if they don't play their best football, they can be very bad. So they're going to have to come out. But it's interesting because this is a team who's ranked 9th in the country, and you're making them underdogs against an unranked team. like I would assume the ranked team is going to win. So we'll preview all that tomorrow. So with all that being said, that will do it for today's podcast. You already know what's coming tomorrow. We got Football Friday. I'll give you everything. I'll give you my game picks, give you fantasy, give you my game picks, give you fantasy, give you college game picks, give you all that good stuff. You already know it's a Football Friday, so it should be a good podcast there. A lot of good games this week. There's a lot of tough games to choose from this week for my game picks. I actually have a lot of underdogs going this week, I'm pretty sure. I have like 2 or 3 underdogs I have winning. Bills, Cardinals, that should be a good game. There's so many other games. Tonight's game should be a good game. And there's others. I don't know why I can't think of them all of a sudden. But there's definitely some good games on tonight's game, and then Sunday's games. There's like 3 or 4 really good games. And then there's the other games, which are not bad, but there's definitely some even better games. Eagles-Giants game, surprisingly, that's a big game for the division. That's another game that's a good game. That's the other one. I can't think of the other ones. The Jets don't play, so I'll be probably watching a few different games. I'll probably be switching through because the Jets don't play this week. They're on a bye week, so obviously it's going to be interesting there. But yeah, keep your eye. Tomorrow, obviously, stay tuned. I'll upload it tomorrow. Obviously, the Football Friday podcast, give you my game picks for college and NFL, fantasy football, all that good stuff tomorrow. But as for today, that's all I got for today's podcast. Enjoy the game tonight. Titans-Colts. I got Titans winning. Should be a good game. Big game for the AFC South. Big game overall for the AFC playoff picture. Could have a lot of could shake things up depending on whoever wins tonight. So good game, big game for the playoffs, big game for the division. Should be fun to watch. With all that being said, that will do it for today's podcast. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.